Hey, welcome. I'm Lee Forrester, and I'm here today with Dr. Achil Petit, the superintendent of the Harlem Children's Zone. And we are going to have a great talk about what the Harlem Children's Zone is doing, who Dr. Petit is, and what we can learn from the disruptive model that the Harlem Children's Zone operates by. So let's just start out by giving a quick wave. Hello, Dr. Petit. How are you? Great to
I'm
have you.
good. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited to talk to you today and just really in admiration of all of what you guys are doing. So I want to just open up and just give a bit of a history on you and the Harlem Children's Zone. So in 1999, Dr. Petit began his teaching career as a substitute teacher in an elementary school for grades 4 through 6. He landed a permanent long-term substitute position at Albany High School in 2000, where he worked as a special education teacher's assistant. In 2004, Dr. Petit returned back downstate to accept an 8th grade math position at A.B. Davis Middle School in Mount Vernon, New York. In 2005, Dr. Petit joined the Harlem Children's Zone as an after-school math specialist and became the 7th and 8th grade math teacher the following year. Dr. Petit quickly developed a reputation for moving the academic needle for students who were performing significantly below grade level and was instrumental in the development and growth of the math department. As a math teacher, math coach, assistant principal, and principal for several years, he has contributed to the Harlem Children's Zone, outperforming New York City District 5 and New York State white students in test scores. He is now the superintendent of the Harlem Children's Zone. And the Harlem Children's Zone has a mission of giving kids the individualized support that they need to get to and through college and become productive, self-sustaining adults. They work with over 14,000 youths, with 2,200 of them in their schools and roughly 12,000 kids that they serve through after-school programs, family and social service and health programs, and community building programs. Incredible. Harlem Children's Zone takes an unprecedented approach. They not only have a whole student approach, but a whole community approach to supporting children at every stage of their development and creating a pipeline to success. That gives me chills just hearing that. You guys have achieved unprecedented success and helped thousands of children and families by disrupting the cycle of generational poverty in Central Harlem through your innovative and effective programs. Wow, wow, wow. So, Dr. Petit, in your words, how does Harlem Children's Zone impact the life of its students, both in and outside of the classroom?
Again, Amber, thank you for having me. That was a beautiful entrance. I was shocked or surprised that all this was for me and about me. So I think inside the classroom, we have a unique structure where we provide high quality education for our students. And it's really simple. I think if you expect that your students are able to achieve anything, then the work that you provide behind it is going to ensure that this happens. So we are data obsessed. And when I mean obsessed, I literally mean obsessed, because in my opinion, if you look at the data is going to tell you a story. And based on that story, you're going to decide to go forward or change or tweak or add or whatever it is that you're going to do. But inside the classroom, we ensure that our students have highly certified teachers, and they have an assistant teacher to be able to help guide them. We have a principal. Along with the principals, we have a STEM person, somebody that focuses on math and science. We have a humanities person that focuses on ELA and social studies. Then on top of that, we have an operations person. That person's focusing on all the behaviors and the attendance and everything that is non-academic that will allow those professionals to do what they do best, which is to teach, which is to model, which is to provide professional development for our students. Our model is that we do not stop until we get it right for each and every one of our students, which means that if option A doesn't work, we go to option B. If B doesn't work, we go to C. We literally go all the way through Z. And at times it means involving the CEO or involving our founder, Mr. Jeffrey Canada. So there's really no excuses for saying that our students can't learn if we're bringing the entire Harlem Children's Zone community to ensure that each and every one of our students are successful. Now, on the outside, I believe that you can't educate students if you don't understand their communities. You just cannot, right? You have to be able to work within the community, get to know the folks that make up the community, provide programs that involves the community, build relationship with those communities, and make sure that you hire people that looks not only like the community, but the students that you serve. It is incredibly important. I can't even underscore the importance of that. So when that happened, you have buy-in, and once you have buy-in, it's easier to really educate those students. But we have outside services because we do understand that from the hours of 4 to 7, that our students are engaged in activities that sometimes get them in trouble. So we have after-school programs that our students are involved in enrichment activities. We have Healthy Harlem, where we focus on reducing the BMI of our students. We have programs for parents when they come in. We have programs in cooking and making music and all of these things that young people right now are interested in. We have that, and sometimes they with us from 7 in the morning to 7:30, 8 p.m. At night until their parents. So they're with us more times than they are with their parents. So when you look at educating the child as a whole, I think that is the secret sauce, and that's what really separates us from any other school or any other organization that I know.
That is phenomenal. I remember seeing on your website, it says that you do whatever it takes. And that amount of dedication just gives me chills just even thinking about it. That amount of dedication that you have to these children and to the communities is really unprecedented. It really is phenomenal. And so what do you believe that other schools could take from the Harlem Children's Zone's model? I remember when we spoke initially, you told us about staff administrators coming from all over the world to learn about what you guys do. So what have you seen them adopting from your model, and what do you believe is the most valuable parts of your model that they can take and implement in other schools?
I believe that if you have a set of friends and they are all thinking about working towards going to college, then what you do or what you have is you create a college going community. So that's been embedded in their minds since they are in kindergarten. Every one of our students know that their end goal is to go to college, knowing that not everyone probably wants to, but we leave that to them and their parents to make that decision. But we are all going to equip them with the necessary tools to be successful from K through 12. What I think other schools have to understand and take away from us is exactly that, this whatever it takes. We have values that says that we put children's first. That is just the number one thing. We do it with excellence. We do best selves to best serves. What that means is if I don't take care of myself, or if we don't take care of us as adults, then we can't be our best selves to the students that we serve, right? And then this surround our students with an army of love, meaning every single one that comes in contact with our students have to do it from a place of love, because there's a lot of things our students go through. And if we don't, and we do not want to be just another thing that adds on to the pressure that they have to face each and every single day. And then this idea of data, when I tell you we're obsessed with data, we have this amazing evaluation department with at least 6 PhDs that literally evaluate every single goal that we have within the organization. And this really keeps us on the straight and narrow. So if we know something's not working, then we change and tweak it, but it's based on science and data, not really based on our opinions or subjective thoughts. And so when you think about that and being able to say, think about all the things that our students face, right? So if I am struggling in the classroom, I can't because I need some glasses. We have a partnership with Helen Keller where we provide glasses to all of our students that need it, and free of services. We understand that in our community, it's really challenging to really go and have those conversations with a therapist or psychologist or psychiatrist. But we do make sure that if our students need it, that we will recommend them to outside professionals to be able to do that, and we pay for that, right? So not only do we pay for them, but also sometimes, and if the parents as well need it, then we'll pay for that as well. We're literally removing all the barriers, all the obstacles, and then ask this question: can our students learn? And the answer is yes. So what, if programs, when programs come to visit us, they are shocked by hearing literally that we're willing to do all of this for our students. And as our founder always says, that's what all the middle class parents will do for any one of their students. It's just that our students that we serve, sometimes financially their parents don't have it. So that's what the Harlem Children's Zone is there, is to literally provide financial relief for them and their parents.
That's so phenomenal, because like as Maslow's hierarchy of needs goes, if your basic needs are not met, you can't even be focused on learning, helping, growing. And so you're helping for their basic needs to be met, which is amazing. You even told me about if a child needs their clothes to be washed, that your staff will actually even wash their clothes, which could seem like why, or is that even important? Yes, because the confidence of the children in showing up, it allows them to show up and be more confident in their appearance. And I just hear so much of you helping to children to show up with pride and having expectations of them that are beyond what society has of them, which is truly phenomenal. So what makes this model work, and why isn't everyone doing this? It's like, how do you do it?
I think first it starts with the leadership, right? But to me, you look at any good organization, you look at any good football or baseball team. I know a good football team. I'm not going to say it because it's not my team right now, but it starts with the organization, right? It starts with the mission. It starts with a clear plan, and it starts with a vision. And then we just now have to have the right people to ensure that what you put in place is actually happening. So I always look at it in three phases. I look at it in first phase is the blueprint, is the structure. You create a structure, you create a plan, and how and what we're gonna do. 97 blocks, all the families and students in that block, we're going to ensure that they get high quality education and after school enrichment programs, right? Phase two is the talent, looking at the leaders in the organization. I can tell you without a doubt, this is not hyperbole or me just saying it. There are not a group of educators that I think is more qualified to do this work than the leaders that we have at the organization, at the schools, because they understand that you need to get it right until it is actually right. So the phase two with the leadership and the talent. And then last phase to me is the assessment. It's one thing to create a blueprint. It's another to actually assess to see whether or not it's working, right? Because there are pieces that might be working, and there are things that's good, or it could have been good back in, 2000 or back in 2004, but now in 2020, times have changed. You need to reassess and see whether or not those plans, systems, and processes you put in place is still working or makes sense today. So that constant assessing our talent, assessing whether or not we have it right for each one of our students, I think that's what and why it's been working for so long. And we're never really satisfied with past experience or past successes because I think complacency really destroys progress. So I think if we're always looking at what else can we do, even though we're doing better than most, we're doing better than the districts, we've closed the achievement gap, which is huge, the black and white achievement gap. But we're always thinking like, okay, well, if we were at 75% here, what happened with the 25%? And what could we do to get those 25% over and be able to perform well. So we're by far our biggest critic. So we're always thinking about ways to doing more, right? And then we partner with the parents and having those relationships with the parents. So when you look at high expectations and you look at parental involvement, those two right there are two characteristics of successful organization and successful schools in terms of student growth.
Phenomenal. I love that you say that everything you're doing is data driven, and that I always say numbers don't lie. And even as a positive psychology practitioner, it's a part of what attracted me to positive psychology, because it's science based. So it's like a new type of self-help. It's not just I'm telling you this because it worked for me, but it's actually
Right.
data driven. So
Right.
let's talk about the results. Let's talk about the numbers. Can you share some of the successes that Harlem Children's Zone has had over the years?
Sure. I think we have, so in 2012, we sent our first group of graduating students to college. And then since then, we've been able to get a minimum of 97% of our last 5 graduating students that got either accepted or transitioned to college. Um, Last year alone, we outperformed in our ELA and math exams in grades 3 through 8. We outperformed our district, which is District 5. We outperformed New York City white, New York State white, New York City black, New York State black in ELA and math, right? And New York City, excuse me, white has always been the bar because they've, consistently performing to the highest level. So we've always make it our business to say, okay, if we could at least be on par with them, then I think we're doing good work. If you think about looking at the programs we have for our students, attacking obesity, attacking, diabetes, and having those programs for our students and for the parents as well. Introducing social and emotional learning, which was a huge piece for me and a huge piece for our CEO in terms of how do you rebuild students and how do you repair them instead of breaking them down, and introducing restorative practice so the students could understand what happened and how their behaviors impact others. So introducing that so you could really understand the child as a whole, so you don't judge them. And I think those are just some of the successes. I think what we have done in terms of programs for our parents, because our schools become a community center for the community afterwards. And I think that's something that's unique as well, because our buildings don't close. So at night after we have student programs, you could find some of the community involved in salsa dancing, which is always interesting.
That's gonna be fun. Yeah.
Or just using the weight room and
Yeah.
really exercising, and it's free to them, so they really don't have to pay a monthly payment at their local gym. And I'm sure I'm missing a lot, Amber, but those are the things that comes to mind right now.
Absolutely, absolutely phenomenal. I just want to, I told you this, I just want to clone you and Harlem Children's Zone and just put one of you in every city, in every neighborhood. It would just be so incredible. So, Dr. Achil Petit, let's talk about you for a moment. Okay. You've been dedicated to this work for over 15 years now, for almost 20 years now, right? Or over 20 years?
Yeah, over 20 years, but 15 here at Harlem Children's Zone.
So what is your personal mission?
It's really simple, right? So when growing up, I think we talked about this earlier. Growing up, I didn't have educators that were really committed to my success. Matter of fact, in high school, I've said this story many times. I was really trying to apply to different schools, and I had my school counselor told me not to apply. And he thought it would be best if I went to community school or to go to work. So of course that defeated me, and I didn't understand why. And he just said I didn't have the grades. So I'm like, well, I didn't have the grades. Okay, I didn't have the grades, but I'm like, school came very easy for me, like seriously easy for me. So the day of graduation, I went to pick up my, my cap and gown, and I saw that in the book that I actually graduated with like an 89 average. So I had more than the grades. So understanding that people are going to think a certain way of you, people are going to have a certain expectation of you, but you always have to be the author of your own book, right? You don't allow them to write the ending, you write the ending. So that really fueled me, right? So that was the thing that fueled me. Growing up, I grew up poor, and that's no surprise because, 4 out of 5 Black person you meet will probably tell you the same story. But I grew up poor, and there were times I didn't have even 50 cents to buy, because I had reduced lunch to buy food. So there were times I was so hungry I couldn't focus in class, but no one really took a liking to that, or at least, show any interest. So then in growing up and really getting into education, it's very simple. I don't want any of our students to experience what I've experienced. So therefore, I try to do my best to educate each child to be a positive, or try to be a positive role model, and to present a different narrative about them and about who they are, despite what has been shown or communicated throughout the history of this world. So that's basically it, is really trying to make a difference in every one of our students, and letting them know that, if I could do it, and thinking about everything that I've been through, then they absolutely could as well. And if I had one of just half of the programs that the Harlem Children's Zone had when I was growing up, I think I'd be in a better space, right? So when you say, can you clone me, or can you clone, if we could just clone the Harlem Children's Zone in just communities like Harlem, or the, South Bronx, or South Queens, or Compton, or Little Rock, right? Or Camden. I just think us as a people, we would be in a better place, because you have caring adults that have your best interests at heart.
Yes, yes. I feel so much passion in talking to you. And it just comes through you and everything that you do. It is June 17th, 2020. We're having this conversation.
Yeah.
What message do you have for kids and even adults who may be struggling to find hope during these uncertain and challenging times, with everything that's going on with race relations, police brutality, the loss, the murder, the lynching of our Black children, adults in public? What message of hope or inspiration do you have for them?
Yeah. So,
For us.
right. So, I am of Haitian descent. So, if you think about, having being the first, Black nation to get their independence, this idea of giving up is just not in my vocabulary, regardless of the situation or the circumstance, regardless of the opposition. You just never give up. There has to be hope, right? And what I think, the situation that's been going on in this world is unfortunate and is horrible. As a person that have kids and having conversations with them, it's different. But the hope that I've seen is the amount of people in New York, around this country, in the world, right? If you look at Australia, Paris, even Japan, if you
Sweden,
look,
everywhere.
Sweden, you just look at the number of people that are just saying enough is enough, and we need to do different, we need to do better, and are just riding with us. So to me, that gives me hope. So then now I can have a separate conversation with my staff, with my family, in terms of never giving up, never giving hope, and always remember, in the past, if you look during the civil rights era, if any of these people have given up hope, then I don't know where we would be today. So always trying to figure out what that looks like. But this is why nothing, in my opinion, is more important than education. And to me, what Harlem Children's Zone is doing uh, are the solutions for anywhere else in this country. So if you think about everything
In
that's
the
going on
world.
in Harlem, is literally the solutions. You could apply it anywhere else in the country. So to me, if you educate a child, regardless of color, right? Because to me, some of these people, this is a learned habit, right? That's just been forced upon them, and for them to become who they've become for whatever reason, right? But if you educate them properly and you teach them to understand, you don't have to agree with me, but just understand me, understand where I come from, understand my language, and most importantly, understand my skin tone, right? If you just understand that, then at least I know you're willing to listen and you're willing to hear me out. And I think having those real conversation with our kids and our staff, and for us to keep doing the good work that we're doing for our communities and taking part in those efforts, I think that's what I would say. And that's what actually I have been saying to my staff and even my son.
Yes, because you're a father.
I
You're a
am.
father. And
I
so,
am.
yes. So for your children and the all of their your two children, right? You have two children. For your two children at home, three children, for your three children at home and your 14,000 children in Harlem and the Harlem area, what legacy do you want to leave behind? And I ask you that because I think now we're finally at a point as Black people where we can really talk more about legacy, where before we were just kind of trying to take care of our own selves and our generations, but now we're really in a position to be more effective with the legacy that we leave behind for future generations. So what does that look like for you?
um, if I'm thinking of what would I want to be remembered by,
Yeah.
right? And
Or what impact also, do you want to leave behind?
right. Um, it's obviously the love and passion for education and educating our students in this community. It's literally uh, looking at each one of them and loving them as if they are my own. And I think if each one of us seriously could do that, it costs nothing to do it. It really doesn't. Could do that, I think we could really start to change the landscape of our country. Because I believe wholeheartedly in education. Whenever they're like, "What's the solution?" I'm like, "Well, if you start educating them young and you build them up, you equip them with enough knowledge and skill set, then they're better prepared for the future." So I want my kids to be able to say that Dad did something to change the world, at least his little world or his little piece that he did, and that because of what he's done, I'm a better person now, and people around them are better people. So nothing too crazy at all.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I thank you so much for your time today and talking to me. And I plan on sharing this widely. I'm just so inspired by what you're doing. So for folks that want to find out how they can support Harlem Children's Zone, where do we direct them?
Really, you could just go on our website, hcz.org, and there's gonna be a drop-down menu where they could just go and either donate or reach out to the proper people that's involved in that. So we have, again, a whole department that handles that and that deals that. So we appreciate everything that we get, and all new folks that want to come and join and support the organization. So I thank you for having me. I think what you're doing is incredibly amazing, and this is needed, especially during this time. And you having a platform to share this with the entire country, I think is just amazing. So thank you again.
Thank you.